Yeah, go ahead and practice your songs, honey. All right. Let's get started. Let's get crack-a-lackin'. All right, we're still in Matthew chapter 6. Last week we did up to verse 18. Matthew chapter 6. Better have this the right way up. I'm going to read it, okay? Is it all right with everyone? We're just going to do verses pretty short today, 19 to 24. Forgot my glasses. Treasures in heaven. Do not store up for yourself treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourself treasures in heaven, where moth and rust do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eyes are unhealthy, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light within you is darkness, how great is that darkness? No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. This is very plain and simple language, I think, that Jesus is using here. Here we see Jesus visiting a subject that most, especially the people in our modern society, don't like to talk about. He says not to store up treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy. I personally can see the rust thing every day, because as we all know here, all 5 of us, 6 including myself, that I'm a mechanic. So I see rust every day. I see rusty bolts, rusty cars, all kinds of rusty stuff. All metal either rusts or corrodes, and almost everything in our society is made from metal. And metal rusts, right? It's either made from metal or plastic, and we can even put plastic into the text here. It says where moth and rust destroy. We can say where moth and whatever corrodes plastic destroy. Because even plastic, which is one of the things that it's man-made, it's meant to not corrode and not rust. But does plastic last forever? No. Nothing lasts forever. And that's the point that Jesus is trying to make here. He says moths destroy, because what do moths destroy? Clothing, right? Mia, you girls probably don't even know this, Maylee. The moths used to eat your clothes, because all clothes were made out of cotton, right? But nowadays, clothes are made out of synthetic material.
Is that why the moths are there?
Well, yeah, because most of the stuff is synthetic.
I didn't even know that.
But years ago, I'm sure you guys remember, when you went into old Grandma's bedroom in her closet, what did it smell like? Mothballs. There used to be these little balls, these little white balls. They're called mothballs. And you would put them in your closet, around your clothes, so that moths didn't eat your clothes. The mothballs kept the moths out of your closet and away from your clothes. All right? Well, sure. It still happens. I just seen some. Where did we see moths the other day? We found an old thing of oatmeal. Remember the oatmeal? We pulled out this old thing of Quaker oatmeal, and we're like, oh, look at this. Here's oatmeal. We don't need to buy oatmeal. We opened it, and there was moths in it. Because that's what happens when we store up treasures. What's that? Very rarely we might see them flying around, but this oatmeal was totally sealed. The canister. We kept it in the cupboard to save it, because it's a big thing of Quaker oatmeal. That lasts a long time, And we kept it in the cupboard to store it in a dark cupboard away from things with a sealed lid on the top. But we still saw moths when we opened that thing of Quaker oatmeal. Because me and Lily were asking ourselves, how did these moths even get in here? This thing is totally sealed. But that's what Jesus is trying to tell us and trying to show us here. Whenever we store up our treasures on earth, moth and rust will destroy them. That's how unimportant they are.
If you don't take care of them.
Well, even if you do take care of them, we were taking care of that oatmeal. We had it in a dark cupboard with closed doors in a sealed container. Now, we could have took that container and put it in a plastic bag and put it in a garbage bag and tied a knot in it and put it in a tote. But sooner or later, though, no matter how well you try to store it, moths are going to get in there and get to it. And something's going to get in there and get to it. All right? That's the point Jesus is trying to make here. We should never try and keep this stuff on earth. You know, whether it be made out of metal, plastic, clothing, food, cotton, whatever. Moth and rust are going to destroy it. We need to constantly keep a mental account of our treasures in heaven. What are some of our treasures in heaven? Anyone? Lori?
Eternal life.
Freedom.
What's treasures in heaven?
Biggest treasure is the Lord.
Our Lord in heaven, right? We should be trying to store up something with Him. I don't know if you want to say merit or whatever, but it's exactly, our relationship with Jesus. That is our ultimate treasure. And it's so much more important. You know, we give so much time, you know, and me especially. I'm always like, oh, we need to wax the car. We need to wash the car. I'm all about taking care of the vehicles. And, you know, it's really not that important at the end of the day. But, you know, it is wise to take care of what we've been given. It's extremely wise to take care of what we've been given.
The main thing is you can't get caught up in anything, right? You can't allow things to take your mind.
To be the master of you, that's right.
Yeah.
And it says right here, in verse 21, for where your treasure is, there your heart will be. So the big point here is, yes, it is important to seal up your food well so that moths and bugs and rats don't get into it. And yes, it is very important to take care of your vehicles and to take care of your home. But that's not the most important thing. The most important thing, how important is it to take care of your car? Pretty important, right? Because we need a vehicle to get us to point A to point B. And a car is a very big investment in today's society because, you know, it's become so expensive. Years ago, they had horse and buggy. That wasn't that expensive, but it was still, you had to take care of it. It was very important because you needed to travel and you needed to go to the market and get food and haul your grain and haul your kids to soccer practice and all this stuff. Yes, it's very important. But if that's important, how much more important is our relationship with our Lord in heaven? How much more important is our heavenly treasure than these things? So if we're taking care of our car and we're buying gas and we're changing the oil and we're doing all these things so it lasts, and we're cleaning our house and we're upkeeping our house and all these things that are so greatly important on earth, how much more important is it to take care of our relationship in heaven? That is the most important treasure, right? I constantly think about that. Like, I'm doing all this stuff. I'm putting all this effort into everything I do at the garage and my business to take care of my family and to take care of all this stuff. But that should be a sign to me that my treasure in heaven is so much more important. And how much time do I spend on keeping the relationship with Jesus that is my treasure in heaven, right? Mia, Maylee, do you understand that? Do we see how important it is to maintain that relationship with God and Jesus, right?
Well, and I think the other things you're doing is your attitude. Are you doing it because you love your stuff?
Sure.
Or are you doing it because you love your family and your God?
That's right. That's right. And I definitely think about that too. Like, I constantly find myself questioning my motives. And I think we all need to do this on some level or another. Question our motives. Like, why are we doing this? Why am I making this car as fast as I can make it? Because it eats up a huge chunk of my brain capacity, you know? But for one, I love it. And for two, at the end of the day, I want to glorify the Lord, and this is the gifts He has given me. So I'm trying to do that the best way I can. You know, I do feel selfish at times, and I feel very vain at times because I pour out so much time, money, and energy into this car stuff. You know, but at the end of the day, this is the gifts God has given me, and I need to use them to the best of my ability so I can give Him the most glory possible through the gifts He has given me. But I also need to be maintaining my relationship and my prayer life and everything so that I don't steer myself off the path with this stuff, with this cars, with this business. You know, I can't make my family my God. I can't make my home my God. I can't make my business my God. I can't make my car my God. I can't make my wife my God. You know, He says right here, we cannot serve two masters. If you look in verse 24, there's something that I see is pretty important. Right at the end of the verse, the last three words, is it says, God and money. Those are the last three words in that verse. The whole verse goes, or the tail end of the verse is, you cannot serve both God and money. And Jesus is using money as a, and He puts it in capital. He makes it capital. All right? The word money is in capital here. This is something from the original text of the Bible that was kept the same. The importance of keeping the word money in capital letters. Why did He put it in capital letters? Because that's some people's God, right? And that's why it's in capital. Why else would it be in capital? Yeah, it's a real big one. A really big one. So easy to do, too. Especially in today's society where everything revolves around money. You can't get food if you don't have money. If you don't have money and you want food, what are your options? You plant food, you steal food, you barter for food. But if you don't have money, you ain't getting food. How hard? If you plant your food, you ain't going to have it today. You ain't going to have it tomorrow or next week or next month. How long does it take to grow corn? 3, 4, 5 months? I'm not a farmer. I don't know these things.
You're right, though. That's about it.
If you ain't got money for food, you ain't going to plant some food and have it the next week or the next month. You know, these people in these ancient times, they had to plant their food and wait months, and they had to plant enough food so that when they harvested their food, they had enough to last them the whole year till it was time to harvest again. So how important is it? How important is money? It's pretty important, right? But we are not to make it our God. We're not to store up our treasures on earth. All right, verse 22, the eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light. What is he trying to say here? The eye is the lamp of the body. All right? Jesus is using this illustration to show us how. Wait a minute. Let me go back. Let me go back before verse 22 and just elaborate a little tiny bit more on, you know, storing up our treasures on earth and heaven. All right. Jesus is using this illustration to show us how the things on earth are finite. Finite. Does everybody know, Maylee? Maylee, you know what finite means? Right? You don't know what finite means? You're all about Marvel Infinity Wars and you don't know what finite means? What does Marvel Infinity Wars mean? What does infinity mean? This is biblical stuff here, kids. And you love Marvel. You can't wait for Infinity Wars to come out. But you don't even know what finite means and infinite means? Infinite? It's Marvel Infinity Wars, right? Well, you said finite means what? No, finite means not forever. Like humans. Listen up. Humans are finite. God is infinite. He's infinite. He is forever. Well, if you know Jesus and you're saved and you go to heaven, you're going to be what?
Infinite.
You're going to be infinite like God. You're going to last forever with God in heaven. All right? We are finite beings, just like all the things on our earth that moth and rust destroy. It's finite. It's not forever. It's not meant to be forever. You know, I'm a builder. We build stuff at work, and when we want something to last really, really long, we make it out of stainless steel. Why do we make it out of stainless steel, Mia? Because stainless steel doesn't rust like regular steel. You take a piece of regular steel that's not painted or waxed, and you go put it in the ocean, within 10 minutes it's going to be covered with rust. Probably within a week it's going to be totally gone. It's going to be rusted to nothing. You take a piece of stainless steel and you put it in the ocean, it's still going to corrode and rust because it's still earthly material. But it's not going to do it overnight. It's going to take maybe a month or 2 or 6 months or a year, we don't know, or maybe 10 years. But you go look at an old boat that's been in the ocean for 50 years. It doesn't have the original hand railings that were made out of stainless or aluminum because it still rusts. It's finite. It's not infinite. All right? That stuff still rusts. But we still make it out of stainless steel because we want it to last as long as it can. Just like our relationship with Jesus. We want to make that relationship out of the best material we can find. All right? And the best material is prayer every day. The Bible talks about prayer so much, how important it is to pray. It says go in your closet on your knees in the dark and pray to God. So that your relationship and your connection with God is as wholesome and as close as it can be. All right, now we're going to move on to verse 22. Sorry, I kind of jumped the gun there. All right. Our eyes are the lamp of our body. If your eyes are good and healthy, well-working lamps, they will project goodness and God's love into your body. But if your eyes bring darkness into your mind and soul, how great will that darkness be? This is a question, or this isn't a question, Jesus said. It has an exclamation point. The eye is the lamp of your body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eyes are unhealthy, your body will be full of darkness. If then the light within your body is darkness, how great is that darkness? Exclamation point. This is a statement. If your eyes are allowing darkness into your body, how great is that darkness going to be? Exclamation point, not question mark. Exclamation point. It's not, let's see how great the darkness will be, question mark. It is, that darkness is going to be mighty, exclamation point. That darkness is going to be overcoming, exclamation point. It's not, how big will the darkness be? It's, get ready, because this darkness is going to be full on, full tilt, full boogie, as big as it can be, as dark as it can be. If you let that darkness into your life, through your eyes or whatever, it's going to be big. It doesn't have any other option. It's going to be big, massive, darkness that's overcoming and overwhelming and overtaking. Our eyes need to be healthy. And to keep our eyes healthy, what do? Read our word, right? And pray to the Lord and keep our eyes healthy. Jesus is trying to show us how we cannot be full of light and darkness. All right? One of the other points he's making here is, if we look at light and we look at darkness, both of those things are coming into our eyes. But we can't be 50-50 or 75-20. We can't be 75% light and 25% darkness, or 25% light and 75% darkness. We're either 100% or 100%. It's black and white. The Bible is black and white. There's no gray. There's no middle ground. All right? We can't be, in another part, in other places in Scripture, Jesus says you can't have one foot in the world and one foot in the gospel. He doesn't say it exactly like that, but the terminology he's using. You can't have one foot in the world. You're either going to be full in the world or full in the gospel. You're either going to be full for destruction in the world, or you're going to be 100% full for Jesus in heaven and heavenly things. So I know myself, I have to constantly keep that in mind, because I constantly feel myself and see myself and realize that I'm stepping into the darkness, that I'm stepping out of the light and into the darkness, you know, and the one thing that's going to keep me from doing that is my relationship with the Lord. Mia and Maylee, are you listening? Typically when people listen to something, they pay attention to it. Jesus compares God and money. Two things that are very easily comparable, because God is over here and he is righteous and holy and infinite, and he is the God of the heavens and the earth. Remember the song we worshiped to this morning? God of wonders, beyond all majesty, you are holy, holy. He is the only holy, the only infinite, the only true, everlasting God. And on the other side is money. Money is evil. Money is useful, but money is also evil, and it brings, you know, destruction, and it becomes our God so easily. We have to always be, you know, we all have family members and friends that we know, but all they do is work, 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 and they chase that dollar and chase that dollar. And that's terrible. That's not how God wanted it to be, but that's the way our society is leaning, and that's the way our society is going. You know, we don't have the best things. We have nice things, thank you, Jesus, but we don't have the best things. And I'm so thankful that my heart isn't full of chasing after that dollar so that I have a bigger house and bigger barns to store my grain in, you know. I'm so thankful that that's not who I am. But it's so easy. That's a slippery slope. Have you ever heard that term? That's a slippery slope. You know, one of my friends wanted to get plastic surgery, and I was talking to it with one of my other friends, and he said, oh, plastic surgery is a slippery slope. I know lots of people that have got plastic surgery. They think they want to start with, you know, a little facial change, but then they get that facial change and they want to do the next facial change and the next facial change and then another body part and another body part, and it's a slippery slope, because once you do it, you just keep wanting to do it and wanting to do it. Well, money's the same way, and drugs are the same way. Once somebody tries drugs, they typically, you know, if they're not a strong-willed person, it's a slippery slope, because they move on to the next drug and the next drug and the next drug, and before you know it, they're heroin addicts, and they're selling their mama's couch to go buy heroin or whatever. You know what I mean? They're selling their mini bike for $130 to go buy drugs. I was just using that to get your attention.
He said he would drive for $200.
I wanted to just using that to get your attention. But people do these things. Once they try a drug, it's so addicting. It's a slippery slope. You know, money's the same way. Once you make a lot of money and you go buy a brand new house and a brand new car, it's a slippery slope. You want to keep doing it and keep doing it. And you want to just get more and more and more. And that is the trap that the devil uses. That's a big, giant trap. That's not a little trap. There are little traps. You know, you ever seen a bear trap on one of your cartoons or games? You all know what bear traps are. There's little bear traps that are this big. That's for catching like a rabbit or a fox. There's little traps. But then there's big traps for catching bear. And a bear is much bigger, right? So you need a big trap. Well, money is a big trap that the devil uses, because he ain't out for fox or rabbit. He's out for bear. He's out for the big prize. He's out for God's most wonderful creation that he created. That's us. God created us as his most wonderful creation to bring us to him, to glorify him, because he loves us and he created us, and we're a major creation. And the devil has big traps he sets for us. Big traps. Because he's hunting bear. He ain't hunting rabbit. All right? He's out for the big prize, not the little prize. He wants God's most wonderful creation. And we have to constantly keep that in the back of our mind and say that, you know, the devil has these big traps for us, and we need to avoid these traps. And the way to avoid these traps is to constantly remember that things like money and things like clothing and things like cars and things like Facebook and things like Instagram and things like iPads and things like video games, you know, those are easy big traps that the devil can set for us. And God is saying there's no room in our lives for those things in him. So we need to try and avoid those things and be strong-willed and not let those, you know, those things are part of our society. We can't act like they're not there. You know, we're to be in the world and not of the world. We can't act like we're not going to sit down and watch TV. We can't act like we're not going to go to our job and make money to buy food and pay our mortgage. You know, we need to do those things, but we need to also keep in mind every second of every day that we can't allow these things to control us. We can't allow these things to become our God. They're not our God. Jesus Christ is our God, and we need to constantly keep that in our mind every day. And the way we do that is prayer and fasting and being in fellowship with other believers and reading our Bible. Any comments or questions?
You're not supposed to be like Mr.
That's right. Don't be like Mr. Krabs on SpongeBob. Because remember he says, money, 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 money. Right?
Dad said, God made you're all kings. You could all do whatever you want on this planet. You try hard enough, you can make it happen. Because why? And God made you like the baddest piece on this planet.
That's right. He gave us all the ability.
And he wants to see what you're going to do with it. You're going to go and say, well, everybody's like this. I'm going to hang out with them, so I'm going to be like that, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And this like only lasts 50, 60, 70 years, then you die. Everybody said, oh, it's
God bless
pointless.
everybody.
No, you missed the point.